Number 10, Dionysia. Okay, this one's pretty cool actually. The best way I could describe it is like it's a very old film festival, or how my friends and I treated the MCU movies. A bunch of my friends lived together and it was kind of like the House of Nerds. We were pretty cool, I swear. We all couldn't wait to get out and see the movies with who it seemed like every other person on Earth was also going to see the movies. The Avengers, they were pretty cool. That's what Dionysia in a nutshell is. Just less Captain America and no spandex. People would flock Athens to come watch plays in their huge amphitheaters. And oh, of course, just like all parties on this list here, there's gonna be lots of food and drink and wine. Can't have a showing without wine. Can't have that. Number 9. Kotobos. Well, in case you're wondering, yes, I have been to a few parties in my life. High school and college were times of great nights and even worse hangovers. Well, what can I say? I just enjoyed my time with friends and even strangers sometimes. And of course, I may or may not have had a few beer. That depends on if my mom's watching this video or not. I'm sorry, Mom. I also may have partaken in a few drinking games like Flip Cup, King's Cup, and my favorite, beer pong. You're looking at the basement champion there, folks, the number 1. You're looking at, I'm number 1, brother! Well, surprisingly enough, even in ancient times, the Greeks enjoyed drinking games. You wouldn't think. A game called Kotobos. The objective of the game was to swirl your cup around and throw it at targets. A lot of times inside the home. To me, it sounds like I'm going to need a towel for all that spilled liquid. I gotta clean up before Mom gets home or else I'll be in trouble. Number 8, frat parties. Okay, so given that they love to drink and party and as well as play games, it seems to make sense that the comparison of a modern day frat house is that of to the Greeks and the whole fraternity thing, that they're Greek names. What I'm getting at is sometimes the frat houses aren't the most well taken care of. Have you ever seen Animal House? Yeah, exactly, you know what I mean. Well, as it turns out, the ancient Greeks might have had some frat behavior themselves besides the drinking games. And actually, besides wearing togas, I'm not sure if that was true or not. The Greeks would sometimes throw furniture around in their stupors. It's so strange, you just think of them being such educated wise men, not toga partying 70s animals, but here we are. Number 7, catch the cross. Here's a modern one for you that I think was pretty cool. Always learning here at Bumblebee. This is new for me. Catching the cross may sound like something you do at a wedding. Instead of a bouquet of flowers, you catch a little Jesus. There you go. Oh, over here. Oh, I want it. All jokes aside, this is one of the biggest celebrations of Orthodox Christians. Basically, it works like little weights your mom bought for the pool so you can practice diving. A priest throws a cross in a holy blessed body of water, and then young men from around all the village come and dive to retrieve it. Diving for weights was one of my favorite things to do as a kid. A cross? Sure, we'll go for it. We'll do it. Let's go. I'll dig up some Jesus. Let's go. Number 6, Ragutsaria. Halloween. North American children's favorite fall holiday. When I went to college, I made friends with a lot of international students, and for a lot of them, it was going to be their first Halloween that coming fall. It was a pretty cool experience to have their first with me. It was pretty cool. Who doesn't love Halloween? Personally, I prefer the costumes that were funny over scary. Right? I've done so many funny things. Well, what if I told you that there's a similar holiday in Greece, just less Value Village costumes? In January, people in Castoria City wear scary masks and exorcise demons from the city. Who are you gonna call? Once all these spooky demons have been scared off, the masked people pass by where they sometimes receive coins for their ghost-busting services. That's kinda cool. You wear a mask, go scare someone, and then you get a coin. There's a coin for you. Have a coin. I'll take the drachma. Do they still use drachma? No, it's euros, right? Number 5, Virgin Mary snakes. Okay, this one is a little strange, especially if you've got an issue with snakes. I pride myself living in Canada because we have so many few species of venomous snakes. I believe it's 4 to be exact. That's good. 4 is a good number. That's not a shot at Australia. I love you guys, but you've got too many. On the island of Cephalonia, there's an event that happens every year that resembles our Groundhog Day. Except it's not freezing cold out and we're not waiting hours for a small town mayor to tell us if he saw a groundhog shadow or not and to vote for him in the next election. On the 15th of August is the celebration of the Dormition of Virgin Mary. During the service in the Church of the Virgin Mary and Marco Polo, harmless little snakes appear inside and around this church, and at the end of the day, they disappear. As legend tells it, it's because pirates showed up to the island, and thanks to prayer, some snakes showed up as well to chase off said pirates. Kind of a weird story. It's kind of like Groundhog Day, sort of, kind of, right? There's a connection there, sure. Number 4, Christmas boat. Christmas boat, oh Christmas boat, I'm full of turkey, I hope you float. Isn't that cute? That was cute. That was good. I don't know about you guys, but if you've been watching here for a while, you know that I love Christmas. It's my favorite holiday. I love the music, I love the joy in the air, I love spending it with the whole family, grandma and grandpa, the snow, I love it all. And especially the movies. I love Christmas movies. Christmas Vacation is my favorite. Least favorite, Polar Express. It's not as good as people think. I don't know why people keep telling me that. It's not that good. It's not Tom Hanks' best work. Well, what's always good is decorating the Christmas tree. Well, as it turns out, some places in Greece, they decorate the kavarki, which is actually a boat with Christmas decorations instead of a tree. I can go either way, but with the boat, there's less pine needles to clean up and less for the family pet to eat and eventually vomit on the Christmas tree. That happens every year. I swear I got a cat and it just does a little hairball on the little thing around the Christmas tree. The skirt, that's what it's called, the skirt. Anyway, number 3. Apocryphes. This is the big one, baby. It's the one all Greeks wait for, or at least so I'm told. She starts off with a big fat church meeting and then no eating meat. No, don't. The whole thing lasts weeks with a surplus of dairy, cheese, and wine consumption, which is just fine by me. Then the masks get busted out, kind of similar to Mardi Gras and other Western Christian celebrations of the sort. Hey, if there's ever some lovely Greek fans out there, Taylor, Adam, and I could go for some delicious Greek cooking. We're all hungry boys, just saying. There's also an assortment of parades that look pretty fun too, the biggest one being in Patra. So in a nutshell, it's Greek Mardi Gras, just less sin. Number 2, Clean Monday. This is where we clean ourselves up. It's the Monday that ends the festivities. Some of you may know it as Lent, but this is huge in Greece. This is where we give up all of our meat eating and we eat seafood. Because, you know, fish, that's not meat for some reason. Right? It's weird. But it's 40 days of repenting, letting go of your sin, and all the mischief of the festival that you may or may not have partaken in. No need to bring up how much wine I drank. But I guess every party has to come to an end, right? And coming into the number 1 spot today, we have plate smashing. Opa! Now how can I mention any Greek party or celebration without a plate breaking? It's been around for a long time, and how can you make this list without talking about plate smashing and Greek weddings? Any regular Greek wedding beats any of these holidays any day of the week. Enough food to feed an army, literally, music, dancing, and enough wine to sink a ship. All of this as soon as the bride and groom break the plate. It's beautiful. I love it. Shout out to the Danforth, you know what I'm saying?
Number 10, Oktoberfest. Hey, cheers! A celebration of beer itself. This one's gonna be good. From September 17th to October 3rd, be sure to swing by Munich, Germany, or actually anywhere in October, for this legendary celebration. No, I'm not talking about masks and candy and stuff in October. I'm talking about Oktoberfest! The annual festival is held over a 2-week period and ends on the first Sunday in October. The festival origins go back to October 1810, in celebration of the marriage of the Prince of Bavaria himself, who later became King Louis I, and Princess Theresa von Sachsen-Hildburghausen. I don't know, I tried, come on. This event started as a ceremony involving drinking, exquisite food, and horse racing, but by the late 20th century, the event seemed to just hold on to the important stuff, das Bier. The traditions of the beer vendor starts and were created, and the next thing you know, about 7.7 million gallons are drank each year by locals and tourists. Dude, 3 IPAs in and I'm toast. The night of celebrating beer itself. Oktoberfest draws more than 6 million people each year to Germany, many of them tourists, but can be celebrated and enjoyed all around the world. How many more pumpkin spice lagers can we conjure up, huh? Come on.
Number 9, the Wife Carrying World Championship. Here's a fun one that'll spice up the relationship or immediately ruin it. One of the two. The Wife Carrying World Championships, or Ukon Kanto, would be an odd one to witness, especially if you didn't know there was an event going on. That ought to be jarring coming over a hill. The annual event kicked off back in 1992 in Finland. You'll hear different accounts as to where this all began. The common theme though in every rendition is theft. I mean, obviously. Yeah, I'd say it looks a little like theft. Competitors are allowed to carry their wife in any way. Piggyback, fireman carry. I mean, the most practical, believe it or not, is Estonian style, where she's kind of upside down, facing you with her legs wrapped around your head. You get it. I'm not good at saying anything else about that. At that point, it would surely be a challenge to navigate the 253-meter track, of course filled with obstacles, for your pleasure this time around. The winner gets their wives' weight in beer. So honestly, I think Kyle and I are gonna walk home like this after work. We could probably do it. We're actually 253 meters away from work, so it's perfect. We can actually just walk home just like that with his legs up. It's easy.
Number 8. Halloween. Okay, so once you sober up from Oktoberfest, it's time to put on some face paint or slap on a mask for this weirdly human tradition. This one would be hard to explain to aliens if they witnessed it. At the end of October, marking the end of the harvest and celebration of the newly November, is All Hallows Eve. A huge party and backdrop to literally every horror movie ever made. The night of the 31st, at the end of the farming season, people would gather, celebrate, and feast. This holiday has seen many births and has many places of origin, and is celebrated all over the world. From pagan ritual to trick-or-treating, this night of the year conjures up spirits of all, excitement, and ages. From warding off evil spirits to Power Rangers and superheroes. We basically went from a chilling horror story about planting crops and the lore surrounding harvesting, with sacrifices and prayer to the gods, hoping no vengeful spirits would ever wander home and haunt you, to knocking on people's doors asking for peanut butter cups. This tradition has stuck, and a yummy one at that.
Number 7. Mud Festival. Taking place in the village of Boryong, South Korea every July since 1998, locals and tourists alike have gathered to splash around in mud baths, mud slides, and even a mud prison. Yeah, you name it. They also have mud skiing, which honestly I'm more of a snowboard guy myself. When it originally took place in 1998, it was planned as a marketing event for Boryong Cosmetics. But everybody of course had a lovely time, so residents can now look forward to getting muddy once a year. It's good stuff. This seems way more fun than Tough Mudder if you ask me. I don't know, Tough Mudder's so aggressive for no reason, like it's mud. We have mud spas now, okay? Relax, Brody. We see it.
Number 6. Las Bolas de Fuego. Najapa. Each year on the evening of August 31st, residents of small Salvadorian town Najapa paint their faces to look like skulls, soak their clothes and gardening gloves in water, and head out into the streets for the annual Bolas de Fuego, or Fireball Festival. The Fireball Festival, not the Fire Festival, that's not the same festival, commemorates a disastrous volcanic eruption in 1658, which according to locals was actually a battle between patron saint San Geronimo and the devil himself. One-on-one handball with the devil, huh? Guy's got a nasty knuckleball. Najapa becomes an unregulated battleground for two teams who marinate balls of cloth and kerosene overnight, light them on fire, and chuck them at each other while people cheer. Basically Mario vs. Luigi, just hucking fireballs at each other. I feel like we would be good at this, just a giant snowball fight with fireballs. This giant fireball dodgeball game is one of the most looked forward to events in Najapa. A spectacle itself. This homage to the myth is riddled with medical staff and can be enjoyed somewhat responsibly each year. Dude, imagine getting a fastball to the face, just fire everywhere. Hey! No face shots, dude!
Number 5. The Bun Festival. No, not those kind of buns, sicko. This traditional Chinese festival, the Chung Cha Bun Festival, kicked off in Hong Kong back in the 18th century, and it's still going strong to this day. A lot of buns coming in fast. Participants would race up a tower of buns, and the goal was to grab the highest one. Or rather the highest bun. The higher the bun, the better the fortune, right? It sounds great, let's start climbing. The festival marks the 8th day of the 4th moon in the Chinese calendar, which also falls on the birthday of Buddha. So it's a wild time, everyone's having a good time. You must be thinking, Taylor, who in the world has all of these buns? That's a lot of bread. Well, it certainly is, and thanks to the event's official bun supplier, Kwak Kam Ki, there's over 60,000 buns prepared for each festival every single year. These towers aren't a joke either. There's 3 towers supported by bamboo structures, like scaffolding. It's a big deal. Huge fan of buns personally, but I can't do the heights. 60 feet of buns? Who am I, Alex Honnold? That's impossible. 30 feet, maybe.
Number 4, running with the bulls. Exactly what it sounds like. Running with bulls. From the 7th to the 14th of July, this event is held annually in many countries, but predominantly in Spain, where its origins start. Originally to commemorate Saint Fermin of Pamplona, Spain, this fast and furious fight is a simple one, with simple rules. Just like the bull farmers at its origins, you and the bulls are led down city streets via a marked path in sorta a labyrinth-ish thing. From there, just don't get hit. Well, gored, to be exact. Yeah, that sounds aggressive, dude. Getting gored? Basically just getting horned until you pass, which about 5 people each year perish from. I mean, come on, it's basically a Volkswagen full speed with horns trying to kill you while you parkour your way through the city in a huge discombobulated maze. Fun. It's gonna happen. Seems cruel for the bulls, however, but eye for an eye, right? Let's just hope you aren't a slow runner, as about 50 people each year are injured. Just gotta worry about the slow runners in front of you, of course, not the 1,000-pound beasts trucking behind you. No thanks.
Number 3, Battle of the Oranges. The annoying orange. Yeah, where are they now? Well, let's hope not in Italy, for starters. The Battle of the Oranges, or Carnival of Ivrea, sounds like an absolute shit show. It's the largest food fight in Italy, and the origins go back to the 12th century when a tyrant was trying to attack a young woman on the evening of her wedding. But the plan didn't work out for said tyrant, did it? The woman, a miller's daughter, fought back and ended the tyrant's life real quick. So citizens remember this brave, defiant young woman during this festival. Every year, citizens remember and celebrate their liberation by absolutely destroying one another by hucking oranges as hard as they can at their bodies. The oranges represent old weapons and stones from the 12th century. They would throw them at orange handlers on wheels. The festival has been on hold since 2021, but next year it's back, so start warming up that shoulder, Kyle. We're getting ready, man. I can't even paintball without having a panic attack, let alone oranges. Also, oranges are so hard. Can we peel them first, please? Can I use mandarins? They're a little softer.
Number 2. The hair freezing contest. Okay, so this is obviously from here then, eh? If you live in Canada and have a hot tub or have been lucky enough to have been scalded by throwing up some hot water into the air during the winter season, then you can see exactly where this next one's headed. All the way up to Whitehorse, Yukon, Canada, to be exact, is the International Hair Freezing Contest. This sculpted hair competition, held annually at a resort in the Takini Hot Springs, holds the competition. Participants sitting in a hot spring are tasked with sculpting their wet hair in freezing cold temperatures in categories such as Best Male, Best Female, Best Group, People's Choice Award, and Most Creative. Those crazy Canucks, eh? Dude, this sounds sick. Yeah. After about a minute, the hair freezes, leaving the creation in hopes to be awarded the grand prize of $2,000. $2,000 for a polar dip, huh? Not bad. The hardest part would just be getting in. Sometimes the dates around this event are loose, and of course, I know anything about Canada, it's gotta be really cold to freeze stuff, like minus 20 degrees Celsius cold, or as I like to call it, just a regular Thursday in January walking to school. Held every February each year, it's enjoyed by both locals and tourists from all over the globe. Any takers?
And finally, coming in at number 1, Air Guitar Championships. Okay, before you metalheads come after me in the comments, hear me out. I'm a fan, okay? Air guitar is sick. I whip that baby out once a day. I get it, okay? I'll shred a few bars on my morning commute. Greta Van Fleet? It's over, that's it. I'm now late for work, I get it. The Air Guitar Championships in Finland might be a little much for me though, just a tad. But you know what? Rock on. I'm a fan from afar. The festival kicked off in Finland back in 1996 to promote world peace. So I think now is a better time than ever for us to all take a minute and get in tune with one another. We like that pun. I even did this, so you got it. There you go. That's how I do it. These celebrations also aren't unique to Finland. Air Guitar Championships have rocked the nation in Europe, United States, Japan, New Zealand, and of course, Canada. Just acoustic everywhere, so much flannel. I would show up in air guitar 500 miles by the Proclaimers, just to say one. Brum, 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 brum. It's a classic. Guy walked 500 miles just to fall down at your door. It's a Canadian icon right there.
At number 10, non-stop party. What is the longest amount of time you've gone out to party? A couple hours, maybe a weekend? Well, I don't think it could ever compare to how long the Vikings partied. The Vikings would have probably had a good old chuckle if they knew our parties only lasted a few hours. They'd be like, ha, look at these weaklings. Anyway, these guys could probably out-party anyone. Their biggest festivities, like the ones held after large expeditions or for weddings, would typically last for days, but their major feasts, like the ones they would use to celebrate the winter solstice, may have lasted upwards of 12 days. Now that's a lot of party stamina. I would probably need about 50 Red Bulls to even try and keep up with these Vikings.
Number 9, actual really good food, like pretty decent food. If you're a foodie, then I do have some good news for you. The Vikings were apparently like pretty decent cooks. For the time anyways. They stocked their parties with roasted meats like poultry, horse, and beef, with platters of greens, fruits, and buttered vegetables. Beer, ale, mead, and fruit wines were the common beverages, and heavy drinking was encouraged. Not unlike bars today, where there's always that one person who keeps secretly buying tequila shots for everybody, and then you're like, okay fine, I'll take it because I don't want to be rude, you know what I mean? Anyways, considering the fact that parties would sometimes last for weeks on end, having a lot of food in their party hut was super important. They needed enough to last them until the partying was done, which who knows when that would be.
At number 8, rap battles. Every party has to have some kind of activity, right? I mean, yeah, we can all stand around listening to music and kikiing it up, but it's way more fun to have activities to participate in, right? Well, the Vikings certainly knew how to throw a party because they had their collection of party activities to choose from, and it sounded kind of like a hoot and a half until we get to the other parts of this list and, you know, just throw that out the window. They would set up games like dice and chess, or at least their early Viking version of chess, and even board games. The Vikings also had this super fun drinking game called flighting, where partygoers would team up and recite poetry. They would drop some sick bars about their conquests and exploits, and would even drop a diss or two at their opponents, like a Drake versus Kanye moment. Oh, wait, no, they're friends now. Damn. Well, scratch that last part, but you know what I mean. On top of rap battles and board games, Viking parties just wouldn't be a proper event without drinking, and they even played a game to see who could drink the most. Honestly, I kind of feel bad for the Vikings' livers after all that, and imagine that hangover. Yikes.
Number 7, vicious tunes. Ever had a neighbor who would decide to throw a banger on like a weekday? Or have a roommate who thinks they're really good at guitar and wants to like prove it 24/7? They're like, wow, at like 4 a.m. Yeah, it sucks. If you don't enjoy scenarios similar to this, then you would not want to live next door to a Viking encampment. These folks rocked out really hard and for, as we know, a long period of time. They loved live music, as do I, and archaeologists have recovered flutes, hornpipes, and stringed instruments from settlements. But as most of the singers were well into the mead, according to Arab travelers, they weren't easy on the ears. Like, picture the moment Bohemian Rhapsody comes on in a bar and the screeches sounds everyone makes as they try to say Galileo, like really loud. My voice is dead. That would be awful. One account described their singing comparable to the calls of wild animals. Oh boy, that's rough. But sometimes they would switch it up with some poetry, as mentioned, by skilled artists called skalds.
At number 6, full send or no send. It seems like the Vikings lived by the notion full send or no send because man, the things get wild and crazy at their parties. There was no holding back with these guys. Oh no. I know I previously mentioned some of the activities that the Vikings would have at their parties, but those ones were the tame ones, and if you know the Vikings, they can't have PG friendly shindigs. Of course not. There's gotta be scenes of violence and coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised. Other than playing chess and having rap battles, they also had mass casualties. They played games where people literally kicked the bucket, but I guess dying at a party this wild is a good enough way to go. Some of their more dangerous party activities included throwing leftover bones at one another with the deliberate intent of inflicting bodily harm. They also played a full contact bat and ball game that would often end in injury, or the big sleep. And they also held a swimming contest, but there wasn't that much actual swimming involved since the point of the game was to hold their opponent underwater for as long as possible. I would have to imagine that these so-called games would just make for a vicious cycle because they'd celebrate something, play these games, kill someone, and then the funeral will have them celebrating again just to do it all over again. What a wild life these Vikings lived.
Number 5, drunk sword fighting and other things. Imagine letting a 2-year-old hold a very sharp broadsword. Sounds like a bad idea, right? Well, nobody seemed to think so when they put swords in the hands of drunk Vikings, which, let's be honest, that's pretty much what a 2-year-old is essentially like a drunk person walking around. Outdoors, Vikings constantly wanted to one-up each other on the strength meter. They had weightlifting competitions, who could lift the heaviest stones, they wrestled, held archery contests, and of course sword fighting competitions, as well as all the games Bree mentioned above. Were they sober? Probably not. They also had a game called Togo Honk, which was kind of like tug of war. Men would sit on the ground facing one another, press their feet together and bend their knees. The goal was to try to straighten your opponent's legs and flip him over. Honestly, that sounds like a blast. Do you think it's a smart idea to put a sword in a drunk guy's hand? No, but it was the Viking era. There were literally no rules except for a few.
At number 4, not enough chairs. Now we know that these Viking celebrations would often last for days on end, right? So imagine if during all that time you couldn't sit anywhere comfortable. Sounds pretty unfortunate, but it was the reality of a lot of Viking parties. Because these gatherings were so big, hundreds of people would be in attendance, but unfortunately there wouldn't be enough space to sit. To try and accommodate their hundreds of guests, Vikings would break out their longest tables and benches, but usually this still wasn't enough space for everyone, so it became kind of a rule that only the most important people were allowed to sit. Chairs are thought to have been pretty rare, so the most powerful and wealthiest Vikings were allowed to sit in chairs. Everyone else had to fend for themselves, either sitting on uncomfortable benches or just standing around. Now, doing this for a couple of hours? No problem. For a 2-week celebration, you can count me the heck out. If my tushy's not comfortable, I'm going home.
Number 3, fertility celebrations. So we talked a lot about what Vikings actually did back then and how they partied. They partied pretty hard. But now we're talking about what kind of festivals they had. This holiday is celebrated on April 30th in Finland, Sweden, and Germany, but goes all the way back to the Vikings. This night is called Walpurgis Night, or Valburgas Night, or I probably said it wrong, but let me know, and is named after a woman called Valborg. She was born in 710 somewhere in Dorset/Wessex as the niece of St. Boniface. She traveled with her brothers to Württemberg, Germany and became a nun. She lived in a convent of Heidenheim and became renowned for her healing powers and was canonized as a saint after she died. This celebration is in honor of her, however it was originally a pagan celebration called Beltane, a celebration of the return of summer. Viking fertility celebrations took place in and around April 30th, and due to Valborg claiming this date as well, the two celebrations became one and the same eventually. Viking fertility celebrations usually involved sacrificing an animal or two of some kind, and included all of the above.
At number 2, Harvest/Winter Night Celebration. Next up in celebrations to mark on your calendar, we have the Harvest/Winter Night that took place on October 31st. It can also be referred to as Elf Blessing, Disblessing, or Frey Blessing. Kind of like our spooky tradition today, it was a time of honoring the ancestral spirits, spirits of the land, the Vanir, along with the powers of fruitfulness, wisdom, and, of course, death. A little brutal, yet kind of merciful in a way, the animals who weren't going to be able to make it through the winter were smoked or made into sausage. It was often led by the women of the household. They left the last sheep in the field as an offering to Odin, though this varies. It also marks the start of something called the Wild Hunt. The roads and fields became territory of ghosts and trolls and marks the beginning of the darkest and coldest time of the year. The festivities and feasts are particularly joyous, and they mainly aim to celebrate kinship, accomplishments, and the tales of the year.
Last but not least, Yule! This last one is perfect for the season we are entering and a great way to end the list. The festival of Yule was, kind of still is, a celebration of 12 days. It was the most important of all Norse holidays and began on the night of December 20th. The god Yngvi Freyr rides over the earth on the back of his shining boar, bringing light and love back into the world. Later, Christianity influenced things, changing the god to Baldur, then Jesus, who's said to be reborn at the festival. For the Vikings, Yule signified the beginning and end of all things, taking place at the darkest time of the year. Children were said to leave their boots outside filled with hay and sugar for the god's journey, and in return they would receive a little present. Sound familiar? On top of that, the celebration would include drinking, feasting, songs, games, banquets, and sacrifices to the gods and the ancestor spirits for the 12 days. They even had what was called a Yule tree, which inspired the use of the Christmas tree today.
Number 10. Off of the Florida Keys, there's a place that holds a special kind of celebration. No, it's not the Beach Boys cover band, although there are many in local Florida to choose from. No, I'm talking about the 35-year running annual Underwater Music Festival. Next time you're in Florida for the weekend enjoying some well-deserved R&R and want to hear some of your favorite classics, then grab some flippers and a snorkel for some front row tickets to this free underwater show. The 2-day festival draws in dozens. That's a sad sentence. Dude, you know I'm checking this out. You're telling me there's a bunch of real-life Zoras from Zelda swimming underwater dressed to the nines playing instruments designed to look like the bones of fish really existing? That's literally the Zoras, dude. Instruments such as the mandolin and the trombone fish can be heard for miles underwater. The origins of this 35-year event is pure at heart. Locals wanted to bring some awareness to the dying coral flora, and what better way to do this than to see it for yourself underwater. After the show, tickets and drinks are sold at the local tiki bar, and audiences can sit in on lectures of reef biology and a little spot of music. That's nice.
Number 9, California Gender Reveal Party. It's a hazard. Everything's on fire. Awesome, nice. Look, here on Bumblebee, we love celebrations, obviously. The Festival of Drunkenness we've mentioned many times before. There's ways to party, then there's ways not to party. Back in 2020, great time for celebrations, might I add, for sure, a California couple was charged with several offenses, including involuntary manslaughter after they caused a fire that ultimately damaged other homes' property. And this was the same blaze responsible for the death of one firefighter, a man named Charlie Morton. How brutal is this? The couple blazed 23,000 acres. Yeah, it destroyed 5 homes and 15 buildings in total. This is also not the first botched gender reveal in recent history. An Arizona fire was ignited in 2017 after an off-duty US Border Patrol agent shot at an explosive device to send blue smoke in the air. And then there's a massive fire. Awesome. It was a boy, by the way, in case you didn't pick that up. That matters all of a sudden. Let's not use pyrotechnic devices. Unless you're touring with the band Kiss, we don't need pyrotechnics, you know what I mean? Just do the baseball trick, that's it, keep it there.
Number 8, Guy Fawkes Night. This one hits home. Remember Grandma would talk about this magical night from her homeland? People running amongst the streets wreaking havoc, tearing down every fence and piece of wood that they could carry for a giant bonfire. 1, 2, 3, and to me. Thank you. Mobs just ripping off the side of your house every year. Like, how many times do they have to get their fences redone? You know how expensive it is to shingle a roof? She would boast about this night, and I thought it was made up for like 30 years. No, it's real, people. Guy Fawkes holds a special place for the Brits and their independence. We've seen V for Vendetta, it's that dude. Or the dude he's dressed up as. Guy Fawkes, the head of the Gunpowder Plot, a group of Protestants creating an underground movement in the early 1600s in attempts to blow up Parliament and end the Catholic reign and the kings it housed. Dark. Both Protestant and Catholics enjoy this holiday, however, as it means something a little different for both of them. So if you're looking to do some remodeling in November, just save it till the month after.
Number 7, Fire Festival. Of course, we have to mention this celebration. This was the hottest festival that never happened. Billy McFarland, this Guy Fawkes, I'll tell you that for free. But he knows how to throw a party, let me tell you that. Fire happened in 2017, or rather that's when it was supposed to happen. 3 days, private beach in the Bahamas, just you, Kendall Jenner, and Ja Rule. A dream weekend right there, right? It's about time. I've always wanted this my entire life. I thought it was a cottage. Nope. Kendall Jenner and Ja Rule. Here we go. Only $7 grand. Well, the immersive music festival was promoted on social media by Hailey Baldwin, Emily Ratajkowski, Bella Hadid, all these famous influencers, you name it. The ads were the best. It was just slow-mo walking on a beach, just looking at the camera for 45 seconds, not advertising anything, just looking in the camera. So guests, of course, bought into this lifestyle. They arrived, and it was immediately a disaster. As soon as they arrived to the island, they discovered nothing was even complete. Their luggage was sitting in an open shipping container in the dark. Blink-182 bailed. It gets worse and worse. Their tents were ripped apart, and for the culinary experience, they got bologna sandwiches and takeout containers. Yeah, Mustard and Bella Hadid were nowhere to be found. I want my money back now, Billy. That's it.
Number 6, Christmas. Hey, Merry Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks, man. There's a lot of connection with a bit of history that I've been brushing up on. Psychedelics. The Nordics had some pretty old pagan rituals. Some were painted, some were written, but most of them by word of mouth. Every winter solstice, these guys would take a large handful of Amanita muscaria mushrooms, the classic red with the white dots, you know, known as fly-a-jar. Widely used with the berserkers, these people like to trip. Apparently reindeer love these mushrooms too and can be seen at many of these fungal sites, along with shamans who, during the snow-filled winters, would enter their homes by sliding down the chimney. Starting to sound familiar. The origins being much scarier with Krampus, the vengeful Germanic Christmas ghoul who brings you coal and kills the absolute shit out of you if you're bad. The spirit of Christmas. The holidays. And then there's Santa Claus, who's the good guy, just brings you gifts. These people were all just messed up on shrooms. Elves, flying reindeer, fat shamans dressed in red, too lazy to shovel, just sliding down the chimney. There's way too many similarities, and I've dabbled enough to know that something's fishy here.
Number 5. Ball de Victims. Okay, imagine you attend a ball in 1795. You're all excited, you're wearing your Sunday fancies, and it just happens to be the Victims' Ball. Yikes, bring your own tears, I guess. Shortly after the Reign of Terror ended, everybody was hurting. Even if you didn't meet your fate via the, shing, the guillotine, you were most likely mourning for somebody who has. So these balls, these galas, were then put in place by dancing societies. This was a way of mourning, just like we do today. We party and celebrate for somebody's life. We literally have a ball. The Bal de la Zephyr happened inside a cemetery, just people dancing over the graves of their lost ones. That's amazing. Graveyard crump battles of 1800s. That would have been a sight to see. That's what I want to do after I go. Just, you and the family battle. Let's do some ciphers. Maybe we'll beatbox a bit, drop some flowers.
Number 4. Up Helly Scotland. Up Helly, or also known as Up Helly, is a fire festival, no, not that fire festival, in Shetland, Scotland, annually to mark the end of the winter Yule. The first celebration was in 1876, and men, known as geysers, would add torches to an overgrowing bonfire in which effigies, ships, and piles of wood were all burned and lit by hand by torches. Borrowed from the Viking and early settlers, originally deep at its Nordic roots of the Jarl, the celebration was a spectacle in itself, and some time spent celebrating. Basically, they had a huge bonfire and everyone laughed and drank and danced and told stories. A little tragically hip and some marshmallows, call that a cottage weekend, my boy. If you're scared of fire or Frankenstein's monster himself, then I would say just avoid this whole event in total. If you're into some anarchy, a night of berserking, and a cozy little blaze, well then cry out na iron brew and going up the hilly for shenanigans, eh? I don't know what I just said. What was it?
Number 3, downhill cheese chasing. My patellas hurt just looking at this video. Holy shit, why do people do this? Walking downhill is hard enough and also so silly. You look like Woody from Toy Story. Just bouncing around down the street. Stupid, right? Well, after a 2-year hiatus, the 2022 Cheese Rolling Championships finally took place again on Cooper's Hill in the UK. You've seen this, right? It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. People flailing their bodies down a hill, all in the name of cheese. This event kicked off back in 1826, where competitors would chase after a wheel of cheese rolling around, 100 kilometers or so. The local rugby team waits at the bottom to catch these competitors, right? They're rolling in at insane speeds, they're upside down, you gotta catch them, right? Obviously. As well as emergency medical workers, because, believe it or not, rolling down a 200-meter hill might break something. I know, right? Crazy. Chris Anderson is the literal cheese king. This man is 35 and he's won 23 races in 15 years. He also became a dad over the pandemic, so he's for sure done. He's not doing any cheese chasing anymore. But the amount of injuries that he sustained while chasing the cheese, dude's immortal. Give Jackie Chan a run for his money. Also, he's clearly not lactose intolerant. I mean, I would hope. Who knows?
Number 2, Burning Man. Under a scorching summer sun and the freezing desert night, enjoy a week of community, art, counterculture, and human expression. The annual Burning Man event, which is held in the Nevada desert, has gained notoriety. Each and every year it continues. Thousands travel worldwide for the chance of finding themselves via live music, drugs, and exploring sexual identity. And of course, the ritualistic bonfire. Dude, this sounds sick. We gotta go. A celebration of identity itself. A steep ticket price though of about $500 gets you a place to park, an area to set up camp, and a week-long experience left up to the questions of the universe. Ton of drugs and finding yourself, basically. Hey, if you're rocked out of your mind on shrooms, I can understand why the enormous 5-story Hayman could seem a little jarring. Whoa. Crowds can vary anywhere from 2 people in '86, the founders themselves, Larry Harvey and Jerry James, starting the event, to a modern, subtle 80,000 people. Speaks for itself, doesn't it? The verdict? People want to get f***ed up and learn about what makes us human. Imagine the stars too, god damn. You're coming back a different person, I'll tell you that.
And finally, number 1, Pleasures of the Enchanted Isle. This one sounds like a Harry Potter sequel that didn't quite make it. Harry Potter and the Pleasures of the Enchanted Isle. Nice, 5 points to Gryffindor, let's party. This celebration kicked off May 1664. King Louis XIV decided to throw a big, fancy ball for his mistress. Yeah, but he told all invited that the party was actually for his mother, but really the spotlight the entire time was on his lady. Yeah, how rude, eh? Already you're like, ugh, what a diva, this Louis. A week-long party? Buddy, I'd be out of there in 48 minutes flat, that's it. Babysitters, texting, I don't know, phones don't exist, see ya. I'm making up excuses. Louis tried his best to keep the party going, believe me or not. He tried to keep it fresh. He had these fun, big, large outfits, a massive fake palace. He even had a big float that looked like a whale. And also, to end it all, a ballet show. Yeah, nothing livens up a week-long bender than ballet in a room full of lanterns. You're just watching like, while setting off fireworks on day 7, the fake palace caught real fire. And at that point, everybody was like, can we leave? I feel like we can leave now, it's done. I need 3 baths.
Number 10, Adele's 30th. Hopefully her heart will live on for another 30 years. Mrs. Adele turned 30 and we got more than just what I think is her best album yet. You know, I've grown with her. We got her at her 30th birthday and she went with the themed party. The theme party's fun. People always come dressed up in a theme, usually Greek style, togas or Harry Potter themed, or one of the worst freak accidents in history. A Titanic themed birthday party with life jackets, built fake sets, fake ice and people's hair, you name it. If you've seen the movie, this is what Adele was going for the first part on the VHS tape though, Second part, Act 2, a little scarier. Apparently she got some backlash for the theme being disrespectful due to lots of people who froze to death. Yeah, I can understand that. Just a violin band there the whole time. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. I don't know. Happy birthday.
Number 9, Kylie Jenner's stage party. You ever go to a birthday party and you're just not involved in any of the activities? It's an eye-opening experience, for sure. You look around and you're like, I have no idea who any of these people are. I don't respect or enjoy any of your company. I'm getting out of here. But you go through it for that sweet loot bag at the end of the day, right? That's all you want. At Kylie Jenner's 18th birthday, nobody was getting loot bags. In fact, nobody was getting into the party. You just have to watch from afar because you're poor. That's why. Kylie arrived via helicopter, she's the mayor. She flew to Quebec to party it up because the drinking age is 18, so I'll admit it's worth the long trek. Kylie and her 3-minute flights. Probably got there in a jiffy. She celebrated at Beach Club, which is a massive outdoor club. There were of course hundreds of fans behind the iron fence on stage. Yeah, they were just away, like West Side Story on the other side of the fence. They had to watch Kylie Jenner celebrate with her friends on stage, through a fence. What a great night at a beach club. Hey, Fomo Fridays, come watch the person you wish you were, party with the friends you wish you had. Cover is only $80. Debit. Show me your wristbands.
Number 8, JFK. Rewind the clocks a bit here to one of the most infamous and notable birthday moments of all time. Our late, great John F. Kennedy celebrated his 45th in style. 1,600 guests showed up of all celebrity status. The event itself, though not actually on his real special day, acted as a fundraiser for the Democratic Party as well. Two birds, one stone kind of thing. Performances, choreography, it was a spectacle. This was the famous Marilyn Monroe performance. Yeah, you know that one. Happy birthday, Mr. President. It's like so breathy. You know what I mean? So sultry. This was that famous dress that Marilyn had made with all the million rhinestones, one that Kim Kardashian just wore. First off, who wore it better? You tell me. Apparently when Monroe opened on stage for the party, the entire audience gasped at the dress alone. Probably because it was so bright, you know what I mean? All the lighting. Oh, and it was at Madison Square Garden. Yeah, presidential. Nice and subtle.
Number 7, the Olsen Olympics. Alright, Kyle and I have pretty close birthdays, so this next one here, I'm not gonna lie, I got a few ideas. When the Olsen twins turned 29, on the same day, which first of all, what are the odds, right? They spent their Saturday throwing outdoor events. It was an Olympic-themed outdoor party. How epic is that? From Full House to gladiator games in the backyard. I love it, I'm here for this. I love the growth in the family. Guests were divided into 2 teams, Team Mary-Kate and Team Ashley. There was a dunk tank, a maze, cones everywhere, everyone's running around. It looked like good, clean fun. See, I wanna have an Olympic-themed party now, but make it real, you know? Hamburger, hot dog. Also, we're doing sprint relays in 10 minutes. Make sure you stretch.
Number 6, Bianca Jagger's 30th. Okay, so we're getting more and more lavish here. I can't wait until my underwhelming I'm broke themed birthday party. Yeah, thanks for this great list, guys. I guess we wrote it. Mick Jagger's first wife, famous actress Bianca Jagger, had a birthday party to remember. Riding in on a white horse like a Valkyrie riding into battle. Her 30th was at Studio 54. Polyester suits, dancing all night, roller skates. It was the 70s. I've heard about this timeless, windowless club of all clubs. Wildest parties. Lots of illegal substances, you know? Sex rooms, VIP celebrity rooms, parties. We're talking Bowie was there, Andy Warhol was there, the Rolling Stones were there. I mean, for obvious reasons. I mean, the poor horse was just walking in circles all night. Wasn't it just like printing its hooves to Donna Summer? Horse is like, I gotta work tomorrow, it's 5 a.m., I gotta go home.
Number 5, Drake. Here we go, a Canadian lad. We love him. He lives down the street from us. That's crazy. This guy spends more time yelling at the Raptors than he does making music, I swear. Drake's a Canadian icon, real talk. He won his first Grammy for his 2011 studio album, Take Care, and it's a gem. That album got me through school. He is unreal. For his 32nd birthday, Drake threw a 2000 themed party. He bought a Blockbuster video wall, which is a great backdrop for pics to remember the night, and also to remember your childhood. To cool guests off, the rapper even bought a 7-Eleven Slurpee machine. That's a nice sound to hear all night coming from thousands of people, just that that's all you want to hear. This sounds great. Imagine bopping out in basketball shorts and etnies alongside Drake. What a time. I have FOMO, I'm not gonna lie. Imagine he showed up to the party in a wheelchair like his Degrassi character from the 2000s and just committed the entire night. He just stayed in a wheelchair like Jared Leto on the set of Morbius. He's like, push me peasants, I'm a vampire.
Number 4, Bieber's 21st. You know what I did for my 21st birthday? I went mini putting. I'm not complaining. I love lasers shooting in my eyes all night, but like, all this. I feel so vanilla all of a sudden. Justin Bieber had a similar idea to my 21st when the superstar decided to buy out Omni nightclub in Caesars Palace, Vegas, and just pop bottles and bottle service it up all night. Classic. This guy. Fully legal everywhere now, huh? Vegas, baby. A 21st birthday is a special one because you can now partake in adult beverages. But Bieber is a Canuck. He's been slamming Molson since he was 19. He's a pro. I like his thinking though. This is one of Bieber's more subtle birthdays. After the nightclub died down, of course, he casually rented an island in the Caribbean isle near Grenada. Guy just starts his own fire festival on his own birthday. Calvin Harris, Usher, come on, that's a concert birthday hybrid. Also, how does one pay for an island? I get a bar tab and renting out a venue, but a private island? Just like e-transfer someone or something? Yeah, the password's Bahama Mama. Yeah.
Number 3, Ariana Grande, Midsummer. This one I have mixed feelings for. If you've seen the movie Midsummer, or Midsommar, if you're one of those guys, it's a little, how do I say this, horrifying at parts. Yeah, there's a lot of flowers, beautiful music, a dreamy vibe for sure, but luckily for guests, that's all it was. Yeah, it didn't end in the same way as the movie with the, Swedish festival gone awry. Or Ori, as I said for 8 years. God, that movie is intense. It's great, but it's intense. You gotta watch it. I'm gonna throw a Hereditary themed birthday party. See how that goes. Bring your own chicken wire. Clothing, also optional. Make sure you scream a lot. Bring some halls. A lot of halls.
Number 2, Kate Moss's 40th. I'm hungover just looking at these pictures. Kate Moss's 40th was an odd one. I'm in my 30s. I love a 9 p.m. start and a midnight bedtime. This one looks fun, but my ACLs are hurting just thinking about it. Long story short, her birthday party was 100 hours long. That's like 4.5 days of just like shuffling around. She showed up in her brand new vintage Porsche birthday present, ready for days on end of partying. Couple rules first. The famous model asked, no pictures. One of the most photographed people on this planet decided to kick it old school this time, hire some DJs and just dance and shake. This spectacle, we'll call it, was at Moss's multi-million-dollar London home. 15 bedrooms, guests like Mark Ronson, Florence and the Machine could just crash if they wanted to. 4 days straight, like you're just trying to sleep beside a bass speaker. Just but like it's your 40s though, right? People gotta get up and go to work. It was Glastonbury themed, so like lots of musical performances and a ton of techno. That'll keep you up for a couple days. Or air horns. Air horns are just a great way to stay up as well. Great way to wake up hungover. Just
And finally, number 1, the party for people I didn't like. To end this party of a list, I had to throw in something recent and, dare I say, a little brave. A user posted their experience online to Reddit. Wendy Tibbetts, years back when they were in college, they threw a party exclusively for people they did not like. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. Think about those people in life you try and avoid. Those people. Co-workers, those family friends who are like, huh? They don't really one of those people, school friends you don't really get along with, they don't help in group projects. Them. All of them in your home, eating cupcakes, squashing the beef. Black and gray balloons, plucked daisies. It looked extra depressing. It was real Tim Burton vibes going on. But surprisingly, everybody showed up. And at first there was tension, but as the drinks poured, everybody talked, got to know each other, and kind of squashed any pre-existing beef. Yeah, 3 hours flat and all that weight was lifted. Wendy ends the post by saying, the party for people I didn't like helped mend fences and open a dialogue with people who had previously made my life miserable. Since these were either peers that I had to work with or who had shared the same circle of friends with me, I don't think the party would have worked if I hadn't been tactless and told them up front why they were being invited. Had I not included them in the joke the whole time, they may have been suspicious as to why they were all being invited to a party with a host they didn't get along with and simply avoided it altogether. Thanks for sharing, Wendy. Also, great idea. Squash the beef, grab a soda, and just move on. That's it. And also hit that thumbs up. That helps a lot too. We love good karma up in this house. There we go.